2 years ago, I introduced myself in Paris by saying that I was the man who had accompanied Mrs. Kennedy to Paris. I'm getting somewhat that same sensation as I travel around Texas.
Here is a special bulletin from Dallas, Texas.
President Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally shot from ambush.
He's been shot. He's been shot. Lee Oswald has been shot.
It is a fact that the milestone anniversaries of major events are divisible by 5. It is equally a fact that by the time the 10th such milestone anniversary arrives, which is to say the 50th, those that were there in real time on the day it happened are becoming fewer in number. The 50th anniversary is the one upon which it is especially important to record the memories of eyewitnesses. This week, we have focused our attentions on 3 such witnesses: TV executive Pierce Allman, photographer Bob Jackson, and police detective Jim Lavelle. All 3, by the nature of their professions, were trained observers.
And the reports coming in from the motorcade were wonderful, positive, uplifting, and so at the last minute, noon hour, I decided to leave the studio. It's about 3 long blocks from Dealey Plaza, and walk over and watch the motorcade. And as I was leaving, one of the guys in sales said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Going over to watch the motorcade, come on." And we started walking over, and I kept looking up at the tops of buildings and at open windows and wondering, and I think I wondered aloud, I said, I wonder how in the world they secure all those. That's you know, just seems impossible. And about a block from the depository building, I remember turning and saying, you know, if there were going to be anything like an assassination attempt, this would be the place.
My assignment that day was to meet Air Force One and photograph the president's arrival, and then to get into the motorcade and ride to the Trade Mart and cover the speech. And as we approached the Cotton Belt Railroad overpass, I remember taking some pictures there because there was a single policeman up on the bridge. Of course, that put in my mind, you know, the safety issue of the president.
I was standing on the corner right across from the front door of the depository building. Here came the motorcade, you know, the bike cops and Jess Curry and the chief leading, and I didn't even notice John and Nellie Connally in the jump seats. I was just so captivated by, Jackie was the closest one to me. She was just a few feet further than, you know, where you are. And she had this little wave like that, you know, in the little pink outfit and carrying the flowers, and totally charming. And I thought to myself, that's what a president and his wife ought to look like.
My assignment called for me to unload my cameras, whatever I shot along the parade route. And as prearranged, we had a reporter at Main and Houston Street that I was to hand off my film to. So as we began to make the turn, I spotted Jim standing there, and rather than hand the film to him, I kind of tossed it out of the car, and the wind caught the envelope, and Jim had to chase it a few feet, you know, and we were laughing. Those of us in the car were kind of laughing at Jim chasing the film, and we had then completed the turn, and we heard a shot.
And they turned the corner right in front of me, and I had been so caught up, I hollered something out like, "Hey, welcome to Dallas, Mr. President." And then they turned the corner and boom.
Then a pause, and then 2 shots closer together. I think I told the Warren Commission a total of 8 seconds between the first and the last. From what they found, I guess officially it was less than 8 seconds.
The shot came from, all of them came from directly in front, and there were 3 shots, 3.
I looked up directly in front of me because we were facing the book depository. I looked up and I saw two men hanging out of what turned out to be the 5th floor, kind of hanging out of over the window ledge, looking up above them. And my eyes went on up to the next floor, the 6th floor, and there was a rifle resting on the ledge. And almost immediately, it was drawn in.
I heard the call come out on the officer shooting in Oak Cliff. And so I called my lieutenant and I asked him, I said, who's covering that officer shooting? And he said, I don't have anybody to cover it.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, well, I'll take it. And from here, then they come back and said they had the suspect at the Texas Theater. So then I called the dispatcher and I told him, I said, take him to my office and I'll meet him at the office. I had worked 2 other officers' murders before, and usually the question when I talked to them about shooting the officer, their response was, I didn't shoot the officer or I didn't shoot the cop. But that wasn't what he said. He said, I didn't shoot anybody. So later on I figured out, I got to thinking, well, the reason he said he didn't shoot anybody, he knew we was going to wrap him with this presidential deal, and he's getting his denial in early. I didn't shoot anybody.
Before even the first 5-year milestone anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination, civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. and the president's own brother Robert Kennedy, 2 men closely tied to the JFK legacy, would fall to assassins' bullets. So began, in those 3 days in Dallas, the beginning of the end of America's post-war tranquility. Many dark days were to follow. 3 Days in Dallas is underwritten by Christian Brothers Automotive and is a production of News Talk 600 KTBB and KTBB.com. I'm Paul Gleiser.